beginnings. Although it came into existence less than 200 years ago, its origins are as legendary as those of Troy. In 1795, there was no such place, no name, no idea that there could be such a place. Within 10 years, perhaps within 5 years, the name had come into existence, Southport existed and began to expand from that moment. What seems to have happened was this, that in the late 18th century, a certain number of people used to come down here into the dunes. Just over the dunes was what was then sea, but is now very, very dry sand. And there were a few bathing huts. The parish centre at that time was Churchtown, which is much further up the coast. And at Churchtown there was an innkeeper called William Sutton who set up a little drinking booth here, to which he gave the grandiloquent title of the Southport Hotel. It wasn't an hotel, nor was there a port. There never had been. The name was an invention of William Sutton. And in later years, his claims became more and more grandiose, until he was finally received the dignified title of the Old Duke. For 50 years, he maintained the claim that he had been the father of Southport. Perhaps not the father, but certainly, in my opinion, the godfather. Here I am sitting outside what used to be called the Black Bull, now called the Hesketh Arms, Churchtown, of which William Sutton at one time held the license. It's crowded with relics of him. I don't think, however, he was a very reliable innkeeper. He fell on evil days, and then it said he used to go around the other pubs of Southport entertaining them, and he called himself a musicianer. And that's his violoncello, there's his bow. This allegedly is his beer mug. Of course, it was nothing of the kind. No one could ever drink beer out of a mug like that. After the legendary story of William Sutton, the prosaic truth about Southport is that it was the creation of the local landlords. By the 1820s, Lord Street, which had originally been a stretch of sand beside the sea, had become an elegant shopping centre and was referred to elsewhere as a distinctive feature of Southport. And then something even more surprising followed, and that is that in the 1860s, the whole of Lord Street was brought under a system of arcades. Each arcade was the creation, in theory, of a separate shopkeeper, but it built up into a unique feature. For a long time, people said that this was imitated from Haussmann's boulevards in Paris. But more recently, it's been checked that, in fact, all the arcades were up 10 years before Haussmann made a single arcade in Paris. The most ingenious suggestion is that they were imitated from somewhere in the New World, from Boston or even New York. But here again, it sounds very speculative. I think the explanation, as with everything that happened from Sutton almost to the present day, is a run of anonymous luck, that some force beyond that of anything that we can name was working together to ensure that Southport retains this unique elegance. Southport breathes all the last recollections of the Victorian age, no more so perfectly as in the fernery of the Botanical Gardens. This incredible structure was created in 1876. I very much doubt whether they're all ferns, but no other fernery of this character, I think, has survived, but certainly not in public show. And as I stand here looking at it, I think to myself, how the douanier Rousseau would have liked it. Here we are in a tropical forest of ferns. A little later in the 19th century, Charles Scarisbrick superseded the Bowles and the Heskeths as the ground landlord of most of Southport. This is reputed to have made him the richest man in Lancashire, and being both a pious Roman Catholic and an extremely eccentric devotee of the Middle Ages, he decided to build himself a great medieval hall, which he did with the architectural assistance of the elder Pugin. Indeed, you can see here in Scarisbrick Hall many of the ideas which were later to be brought into practice in the Houses of Parliament, including even the clock tower, Big Ben. It was highly impractical. The gargoyles are very emphatic, pointing off the roof, but they do not drain the water because they're solid stone. And it's said that the gutters have no way out, so the only way they can drain is by percolating through the roof. It's difficult to grasp the contrast between the practical hard life of teaching children from 4 to 18 to this dream world of a Middle Ages, itself founded on the profits of 19th century Southport.